Today is gloomy Monday in the Bahamas, the 6th day of April 2020. And boy, I got a shot to the gut, a gut punch today when I saw in the newspaper this morning edition the guy that I said last night in the video that he should be heading the recovery effort in Abaco, Hiram Lewis. Boy, I took that back already. When I saw that, I said, this guy is worse than the woman they got in charge there, Kay Forbes Smith. The two of them together is hurting Abaco. And what Hiram Lewis said this morning is heartbreaking to people in Abaco that doesn't have anything to eat, no monies, no job, no shelter, no electricity, no water, nothing. And to hear Hiram Lewis to admit to what Abaco knew already, because we're in the tourist industry, I'm in the tourist industry, and I heard people that visit Grain Tilkey, Hopetown, Manawa, that they send stuff into Grand Bahama for Abaco, marked for Abaco, because that's the only place where ships in abundance was coming immediately after the hurricane into Grand Bahama. And we saw videos months ago where a stockpile of material was sitting in a warehouse with Abaco name on it. Now, you see, if Kai Mills was your member of parliament and being a minister in the government like Darren Henfield, I would have immediately, you're flying all over the world, you're in Grand Bahama. I know that Darren saw the video. He could have gone and checked in Grand Bahama to see if this in fact fiction from fact. You're in Grand Bahama. I know you're in Grand Bahama up and down. And then Hiram Lewis today in the paper bragging that they have stockpiles of stuff that was given for Abaco after Hurricane Dorian by the Americans elsewhere in the warehouse in Nassau and Grand Bahama. How could that be? And then that's a hurtful part. Then he said he's going to see if he could use it for this virus situation. That's unacceptable, Brother Lewis. You have responsibility for two islands, Grand Bahama and Abaco. Like, which rock did you just crawl from under? We haven't seen or heard of you in 3 months. Now you're trying to be significant, but you just hurt us even more by what you said. Our goods, 8 months in, it's in a warehouse in Nassau. Abaco, you know what they already picked through them. All the generators that we need, all the essential stuff that was sent to Abaco that we need, these same brutes, NEMA need to be dismantled. This whole ruckus, all this need to be dismantled and start over. All it does is hurt the people that need the help. Where is NEMA in this? Is NEMA needed at this time? Where's Russell, Captain Russell? Who is guarding our stuff in Nassau 8 months in? And why, Brother Russell? Why is it it's in Nassau? It's in Nassau and we need it in Abaco. And then the brother come out being braggadocious and say what he's going to do with something that people earmark for a particular island. How could the minister responsible for reconstruction in Abaco could dare? I know somebody in the cabinet already slapped you and tell you shut up. But God works in mysterious ways. He had to speak up. They have the stuff. That's for Abaco. And he have it in a warehouse in Nassau 8 months in. Brother Lewis, that is unacceptable. Question. Now that Darren Hempfield is not saying anything, I don't understand it. I can hear everybody speaking in the House Assembly besides Darren Henfield. Somebody please loose the muscle of a Darren mouth. Darren, can you go down to the warehouse and see how much stuff is hidden and under lock and key that they're locking away from Abaco people? These are people. You are the MP at this time, not Kai Mills. It's your responsibility now that Haram has opened his mouth. Check in Grand Bahama. Haram already said he has it in Nassau. When, Darren Henfield, is the goods going to come to the people that it was earmarked for? Abaco, your people that elected you. Can you do that favor for the people of Abaco that's hungry? And if their name is zero, they haven't been to the shop from, what is this? From Friday. Lockdown from 8 o'clock. And their name is on the list probably on Thursday. So Abaco people, if their names ends with 0 and W and Z, they're way down the line. They could be dead before they get to the shop. So somebody, not somebody, Darren Henfield, he's the MP at this time. He's the minister. Need to check with Haram Lewis' story and ask Haram why is the goods for Abaco is still in lockdown in Nassau, and he dare not use that for anything else but for Abaco, because people trusted the government to deliver these stuff to Abaco. 8 months in, they're still locked down, Darren. Wake up, brother. It's one of these Kai Cares video showing you the skullduggery of this FNM government and our MP that haven't opened his mouth some 8 months later. We already have an example of them not caring. And every time I do a video, I'm going to remind the world, because everybody think that this has already happened. It has not happened. Our dead, Haram Lewis said there's 70 some dead. The government said there's 50. I already said months ago there was 78 way 3 months ago. Since that, last month, I saw them recover 4 bodies. And I know, because of their lack of vision, they're still cleaning up in the mud. And I asked them when they put the fence there, why did you put the fence there and there are more houses there? It was never government land. All them lands, if it was somebody else's land, let me show you the naiveness of the government. They put a fence in the front of homes that belongs to the Haitians, 30, 40 houses, and that's now where they're finding bodies. Because they mark it off. Who mark where the mud is? If there are homes there 30 years, shouldn't they have already been moved? That's the brilliancy of this government. They left those homes and the bulldozer piled all the rubbish in one corner, 30 feet high. Now, and I said it back then, there are dead bodies right there where they're piling. Why are they pushing all that stuff up there in a pile? Now they're behind there, clearing the piles and clearing the 30 houses that they left there. Because somebody put an imaginary line there to say, this is the mud, this is the peace. Nobody knows the answer. But one thing I knew back then that they're doing now is that they should have broken all them homes down and they shouldn't have piled those dead bodies up in the front of the houses. That's exactly where they continue to find bodies and continue to clean up some 8 months in. So now, what is the death toll? Haram said today, 73, 74. It's higher than that because you're continually collecting dead bodies 8 months in a little small area because you didn't do what you ought to have done in the beginning. You never listened to nobody from Abaco. You're stealing our goods. You got our generators, just like Haram said. They got them in Nassau. They got the generators. Last week I did the video. They have the generators, over 40 generators in the trailer there now. If the Defense Force haven't stolen them because they continue to take them, Why should they take them? Hiram Lewis ain't even giving them to nobody. K. Forrest Smith refused to give them to anybody unless there's a television, newspaper audience there to say that she's doing something. And it's not her goods. She can't campaign on goods that the Americans give us. But because they cannot have that audience of televisions and radio and newspaper, the goods remain there until they could find time in their schedule to give them out in the front of the TV. That is unacceptable. It's one of these kind of cases. You get the government you deserve. You got the MP that you stood in the line 3 hours for and doing nothing. That's Darren Henfield. Imagine, to date, 8 months in, Darren haven't said anything to us, about us. Neither have he said anything in House Assembly concerning a way forward for Abaco. 8 months in. Boy, and the boy's so educated. He's a preacher. He's a lieutenant. He's a lawyer. And he ain't got nothing up here. Not when it comes to Abaco. He don't care. Kai cares. That's why I'm here. You're hearing from me more than you're hearing from Darren. Kai cares.